The Smarter Money Life podcast is sponsored by Forum Credit Union, a member-owned financial cooperative serving members since 1941. Forum, your trusted financial partner, helping members live their financial dreams every day. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Smarter Money Life podcast. I'm Andy Mattingly.
And I'm Nicole Royal. Today, we're talking about something we hear from parents all the time. What should preteens actually know about money?
So we're really kind of talking about that 9 to 12 range, or maybe even 7 to 12 range, because it's a really important window. Kids aren't just following rules anymore. They're starting to understand why financial decisions are made. And when kids understand the why, money lessons stick. So they stop feeling like lectures and they start feeling like life skills.
One of the most common questions we get is, where do I even start? A great starting point is helping kids understand that every dollar has a purpose: saving, spending, giving, or investing.
And this is really, as a parent, where you've got to kind of change the things that you do. So instead of saying, don't spend that, which you, when they're younger, you're saying, don't touch that hot stove, you might say, what do you want this money to be for? That small shift helps kids start thinking intentionally and leads to right into the needs versus wants.
Another question we recently had is it bad if my child spends all of their money on things they want? Not necessarily. Wants aren't bad. The goal is helping kids recognize the difference and understand trade-offs. Choosing one thing often means giving something else up.
And that's where delayed gratification comes in. Waiting a little longer can sometimes lead to a better choice or a better outcome. And as a parent, you have to make sure you're helping them understand this concept.
Once kids understand those ideas, parents often ask, what skills should they actually be practicing? The big one is budgeting, keeping it simple, just tracking money coming in and money going out. A good example might be giving a child a set amount of money for the month and helping them decide how to divide it between saving, spending, and giving.
Goal setting is another key skill. Short-term goals might take a few weeks. Medium-term goals might be that it's a few months. Once parents understand the concepts, the next question is usually, okay, but what do we actually do at home?
Right, because money lessons really stick when kids can practice them. And at this age, 9 to 12, it doesn't need to be complicated.
One of the simplest activities is just giving money a purpose. We forget that money needs to have a purpose. We suggest a 4-category system. Some that they're going to save, some that they're going to spend, some that they're going to give. And in today's world, you also need to talk to them about investing, which you might think is the same as savings, but it's a little different. And you can do physical jars or envelopes or even digital buckets for some of these. The important part is helping kids decide ahead of time what each dollar is for. So before they get the money, they know where it's going to go.
Another great activity is a monthly mini budget. Instead of handing out money week by week, giving them a set amount for the month and help them plan how to use it. And let them make mistakes. Running out of spending money in week 3 is a powerful lesson without long-term consequences.
We also like turning needs versus wants into a game. Pick a few common purchases, snacks, clothes, game, and ask kids to sort them and explain why. There's no perfect answer because something that may be a need for them and something that you think is a need might be a want for them. The goal is help them think through the trade-offs and realize that choosing one thing often means not choosing something else. And that's really the importance of needs versus wants.
Savings goals are another big one. If a child wants something specific, help them break it down. How much it costs, how much they can save each week, and how long will it take. This teaches kids patience, planning, and delayed gratification. All skills they'll use far beyond money.
Yeah, and patience is something that kids really struggle with.
Yes.
For earning, some families create a simple job menu at home. These are optional jobs with clear expectations and clear pay. It helps kids connect with effort with income and understand that money doesn't just appear. Forum's My First Nest Egg app is a great tool to connect jobs and savings goals.
Yes, that has been really helpful in our household. As kids start spending online or using a debit card, supervised practice becomes key. Reviewing balances, transactions, and even mistakes together builds confidence. And don't forget digital safety. Playing a spot the scam game or talking through fake messages helps kids learn what red flags look like before it matters.
And finally, one of the most overlooked activities is just talking out loud about your own decisions. When kids hear parents say, "We're not buying this because we're saving for something else," They learn how real financial choices are made. Money lessons don't have to be formal or perfect. They just have to be consistent and connected to real life. And connecting to your family's real life money issues is a great way to do that.
We also hear questions like, when should my child get a debit card? That's usually around this age, with supervision. It's an opportunity to teach how checking accounts work, how to monitor balances, and how interest fits into the picture. And for many families, this is when kids start earning money through chores or small jobs.
Another big listener concern is digital money. One parent has asked, my child wants to buy things online. How do I handle that safely? The key is to set clear boundaries. Preteens should always get adult approval before any online purchases, and they should never save any card information on shared devices. Because you need to start teaching them about privacy, about not sharing passwords, information, or one-time codes.
And recognizing scams. If something feels urgent or too good to be true, that's usually a red flag. It's also important for our kids to know what to do if a card is lost or compromised, who to tell, and how to respond.
So, what does success look like at the end of middle school?
Kids should be able to follow a basic budget, explain how savings works, justify spending decisions, and use banking tools responsibly with supervision.
And as we've said before, it's not about doing it perfectly. It's just about preparation. Small, consistent lessons today can lead to smarter financial decisions for their life because they may be making a $10 decision today, and when they're 25, they're making a $10,000 decision.
If you want to do a self-check on how you are teaching your kids about money, answer the following 3 questions about your situation. When your child gets money, how do they decide what to save, spend, or give? And how much do you guide those choices?
That's a great question. Nicole, how do you do that at your house?
This came up recently. Reagan had pretend school money for doing the right thing at school. They could earn money. And she got excited and chose to use all of her money on candy early on. And then at the end, when they were kind of bigger or better prices, she was pretty disappointed that she didn't have any of her money left. So that was sort of natural consequences.
Yes, that's great. And that's kind of like, I don't want to call it a mistake, but that's kind of their first mistake. And then she's learned from that.
Yes.
And she's going to remember that for a long time.
I hope so.
Another good question is, when your child really wants something, how do you talk through needs versus wants and the trade-offs?
This is always a tough one. How do you handle this? How did you handle this when your kids were younger?
Yeah, so my kids are all in their 20s, and sometimes I want to make sure that they're still thinking about needs versus wants, but I try to stay out of it. But when they were younger, we really did talk about it, like with the money that they were spending, and we really laid it out and tried to say, share with what in our household, what's a need? Well, we need to have food. A want is that we want to go out to eat, right? And so there's a difference and a trade-off. And the more we go out to eat, maybe there's something else that we wouldn't do. So we really tried to work through what we were doing, but we also wanted to talk to them and say, okay, what do you need this for? What value does it bring to you? And when it's a want, like, well, I want this new pair of shoes, but do you need those new pair of shoes because your other ones are still good? What value does this bring? So it's always trying to get through those choices. And then kind of what you just shared too is sometimes letting them get the want. And then a need would come up and then they couldn't do it. Like, well, I need new shoes. And it's like, well, but you got those other shoes, so you're going to have to wear those now. So it's like what you said, it's kind of like learning by doing.
I like the idea, though, of the continued conversation around it, too, just involving it in all of their buying decisions.
Yes.
Okay, our final question. What real-life money practice does your child get right now? Budgeting, earning, or using a card? And what's been the trickiest part so far?
So, because building confidence tends to mean that you need to practice because it matters more than perfection. Now, your kids are younger, so you're in the middle of this. Are you doing anything in these areas yet, or are they still too young?
No, so for our youngest, we're working on earning. So he has chores that are assigned to him, and he's responsible for completing them. And if at the end of the week they're done, then he earns money, and if they're not, then he doesn't. For our oldest, that we're working a little bit more on budgeting, so we're talking, she's earning her money, but we're talking about those needs versus wants and her understanding that, yes, it would be fun to go to Target and spend all $25 for our money, but if we saved it, something better might come along down the road.
That's good. With our kids, we try to give them experiences. And, what you're talking about leads right in so that by the time they get to college, you really want them to make those decisions. So we were, kind of doing the same thing and just giving them more responsibility because budgeting really is the key. I mean, you're doing the right thing there with her because, when they get into like high school, budgets, because when they went to college, you're going to get so much money at the beginning of the month and it's got to last you. And you've got a lot of things you've got to pay for that. So I think the more experiences you can give them by the time they get to college is great. And if you start at the age that your kids are, you can do more advanced things when they get, because, she's going to start earning more money.
Sure.
And so there's going to be a lot of things that you can do with that. So I think you're on the right track with what you're doing.
Good. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining us today. If you want more tips or resources, visit forumcu.com.
And don't forget to tune in next time for more ways to make your money work smarter for you.
Thank you for joining us today. Our hope is that we can help you live your best financial life. For more insights, be sure to subscribe to the Smarter Money Life YouTube channel and also catch the Smarter Money Minute segment every Thursday on Fox 59's Indie Now Lifestyle Show. Remember, reaching your financial dreams is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to making your dreams a reality.